Go ahead, Chris.
It still says scheduled on my end.
We're live.
Oh, now we're live. Okay. Oh, we are live. Sorry about that, folks. I'm waiting for the live button on my side of things, and it's not happening. So,
Been live for a few seconds now.
yeah. Well, folks, we're glad to be back with you again. Today's topic is attracting your first coaching clients. And, David, this is obviously something that I would think any coach would want, but it's not just for new coaches either on one level.
Right. Well, and I would agree with that. But I think, coaching is a very popular business for people to start these days. And there's good reason for that. Is like, it's an incredibly rewarding business to be in. I mean, we've both done this now long enough to know that each of us have had those moments where we walked away from coaching someone.
Yeah.
And just had this like sense of like, okay, this is why I'm on earth.
Right.
Like, this is it. This is what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to help people with this.
Yeah.
This problem that they're facing, this thing that they're going through. That's my thing. That's my role. I'm supposed to help that. I'm supposed to make it better. I'm supposed to serve people in this way. And the good thing is you don't need to have special certifications.
Right.
You don't need to have any special letters behind your name.
Right.
You just need to know how to solve that problem.
Yeah.
You need to know how to do something of value to other people. Because at the end of the day, people get excited. Like, do I have a certification for this? No. Okay. You really don't. Unless you're going into some specific field like counseling or something.
Sure.
You don't need that. All that people care about is, can you solve my problem?
Right. Well, and I wish that's something I learned right out of the gate, right? Is that it's not that certifications and trainings are bad by any means, but so many coaches that we know, they get hung up on starting before they have those things, when really their life, their career background, whatever it may be, they have a lot to offer somebody to, like you said, solve those problems or help people get to that next level in whatever area. But I think so many times we think, well, I'm not qualified yet, because we've fallen into this trap of, I would just say it's the, Western educational mindset where you got to go to elementary, middle school, high school, college, all these things, get these certifications. Everything's got to have, like you said, letters behind your name, or your resume has to have all these different things. But once again, those things aren't bad in and of themselves, but they're also not necessary. And many times they can actually impede your helping your clients if you're trying to stick to the script so much that you're not thinking about the client and what they're actually needing.
And I've experienced that, and I'm sure you have as well, where you're on somebody like, well, I'm certified in X, Y, and Z, and this is what the book says we're supposed to do. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And every client's different. I mean, I literally had 2 coaching sessions yesterday, and the one in the morning, I was like, did we do anything of significance today? Right. It was like, I didn't walk away from that feeling like I was meant for this, because I was like, what was going on? But then I had another one in the afternoon where she was just like lighting up because of the things she was experiencing and learning and thinking about and what she was going to do next. And I was like, this is it. This is what we want to have happen. That's the experience, right? But so much of it is determined by the client's motivation and their engagement in it. But and that's part of this that we'll talk about, is getting, finding the right clients too, because it's not just about getting a client. I got one of those first clients, and 2 or 3 months in, thought, this is killing me and it's not worth it.
Yeah, we've all had those moments where we're like, okay. And like after you've done a time or two with them and then you're getting ready to get on the call, if you have the okay feeling, or if you have the let's go feeling,
right, when you're excited about it or you're dreading it,
right, when you're dragging your feet going, okay, I got to get on the call with so and so here in 10 minutes,
right?
Like, oh, that's usually an indication you didn't get the right filter in place to coach that person.
Right. And I think people need to pay attention to that too, because it's, a lot of times you need to obviously fulfill your agreement and contract with them, but also learn from that experience. Say, okay, this is not, I might need to refine this for next time.
Right. So
talk to us about what does it take, David, to truly attract that first or those first early clients in particular?
Right. Well, I mean, the first things that we got to talk about is creating your offer. So, and this is something that I think a lot of people don't do well enough.
Yeah.
I don't think they get clear enough on this. I don't think they have developed a messaging around what they do that is clear and compelling. So first thing is like, what exactly is the problem that you solve? Because, one of the problems that I see in a lot of people is, well, the problem I want to solve is that I need money. Okay, that may be true,
Right.
but that's not the problem that you're
Get out your
solving.
garage and go sell some stuff.
Right, exactly. That's not the problem that you're solving for the client.
Mm-hmm.
How exactly are you solving? What is the specific problem? And it needs to be clear. It can't just be, well, I help, authors publish books. Well,
Right.
okay, but that's very broad.
Right.
What about publishing a book do you do?
Right.
There's a lot of lanes inside of that statement.
Yeah. Do you do textbooks? Do you do nonfiction? Do you fiction?
And do you coach people through the process?
Right.
Do you actually do the publishing part of the process?
Right.
Do you help edit the books?
Right.
I mean,
yeah, there's a lot of work moving parts in that.
Right. What exactly are you doing in that? You have to get highly specific about what exactly that you're doing. And then who are your perfect clients?
Yeah.
Who are these are my perfect client is somebody like here in DLG. My perfect client is someone who feels they have a message inside of them and wants to utilize that message to help and serve other people to create a business and earn income for themselves. So they want to make a difference in the world. They want to utilize their skills and their gifts in a way that's meaningful to them and tied to their purpose for their life.
Yep.
And they want to be able to enjoy the fruit of that and earn a good income from doing it. Well, that's a pretty clear lane of knowing who I'm going to serve. Other people are just like, well, again, I'm just going after whoever's going to pay me. Well,
right. If they're breathing and have a pulse, I'm good.
Right. Well, and again, that ends up making your brand, that we know somebody used to say, it's like going to a radio station and one day it's jazz, one day it's country, one other day it's classic rock, and the next day it's talk radio. Like, why do I come to you? Every day you're doing something else. You have to, and you got to stay in that lane.
Right.
Like, this is who I am. This is what I do. I'm not, and because otherwise things are going to happen. As you go down this journey, there's going to be opportunities for you to, well, we could also do this, or somebody else, we could partner with you and do that.
Yeah.
And it's going to be very tempting to say yes. It's going to be very tempting to go down those paths. Well, I could make some more money if I did that. Okay, but is that really where you're supposed to be?
Well, and that's so true. I mean, like I said, a few minutes ago, like one of my first early clients, actually my highest paying client at the time, was a young guy. His parents, actually, I met him at a networking event. His parents said, our son basically won't move on in life. He, blah, blah, blah. And would you be willing to work with him? And I said, well, let's have a discovery session and kind of connect. And after I met with him, I thought, let's do this. We'll try this. Right. And like I said, probably within a month of meeting, so which we're meeting like every other week. So within 2 or 3 sessions, I knew this was not going to work well. And so I think we got through maybe a third month in completion, but it was supposed to be a 12-month contract. But I literally said, this isn't working, right? Like, you're not doing anything, it's not worth my time and your money. And I talked to him, I talked to his parents, and because for me, it was an integrity issue, but it was also a misfit issue, right? Like, I didn't want to just keep taking somebody's money and then make myself miserable, even though it was a nice contract to get started. I was like, this isn't good. And so it helped me refine, right? Then I knew this scenario, at least, right? This psychographic or demographic is probably not my niche. And so it helped me, and sometimes we have to make those trials and error, issues, right, to figure this out. But the clearer you can get on the front end, to your point, the more you think about, this is the problem I solve, this is the type of people I help, that takes you so much farther faster.
Right. Well, and then once you know, like, this is exactly the problem I'm going to solve, these are the people who have that problem and need help, and they're stuck here. The next thing you got to do is you got to create a compelling solution. Mm-hmm. And that solution needs to be clear. Mm-hmm. The vision that the people on the other side need to understand very quickly and very easily, you can solve my problem.
Yeah.
And I see how you solve my problem. I get it very quickly. I understand why it's, because if somebody hears your process and here's what you're doing, and
Right.
they go, I don't get it, they're just going to walk away.
Right.
Because a confused mind doesn't buy.
Right.
A clear mind buys. A person that says, whoa, like I'm facing this problem and you have a step-by-step process that's going to show me exactly how to do it. Well, shoot, that's exactly what I've been looking for.
Right.
So let's do it.
Yeah. I'm actually, a friend of mine he's fairly new in his coaching business, and I'm kind of watching this happen in real time for him as well, because as he's at different networking events and places where I am, and I see him speaking up and talking about certain things, I start to see light bulbs clicking on, for other people. And they're like, I need to, and they'll like run him down after a meeting, and they'll be like, hey, can we talk? And so it took him a little while, right, to get going. But the more that he's gotten confident and more clear on this point, now people are just like, attracted to what he's offering without him. He's not chasing clients, right? They're actually running to him and saying, I need to learn more about that. Can we meet? And he's just like, this is really awesome. I'm like, yeah, because you're really clear on what you're doing.
Well, and that even can overcome so many other challenges. If your offer of what you can do for people is super compelling, like yesterday, I watched a webinar, okay, because it was something about Facebook ads that I'm like, all right, these guys may be able to give me a couple of more insights because, I've done it for a long time, but every once in a while you can
Everything changes.
Well, and you can get another little nugget.
Sure.
It's like, it's not that they're going to teach me the big part, but
right.
little tweaks, little nuggets along the way that can make a difference. So I'm listening to this presentation, and the guys presenting it are brutally bad. It hurts my head to even listen to them. It is like, all they're doing is spending the entire time talking about how amazing they are and how they made so much money for other people. And I'm like going,
can you get to the point of the training?
Right. I'm like, well, okay, great. The point of this training is you're impressed with yourself. Okay, great. Congratulations. But their offer of what they were doing for people was so ridiculously amazing and good of what their offer was. So essentially, like, they have a process. They have insiders at Facebook that they're friends with. They have connections. They have people that are there. So all the people who are getting their ad accounts banned and try to get reestablished and are getting nowhere because all you're doing is talking to bots who won't help you, and you go nowhere, and you have to create a whole new Facebook account and start all over, and it looks terrible for your agency. Well, these people have connections and contacts in with Facebook inside the advertising area that can get people unbanned.
Oh, that would be a huge solution.
And so despite the fact that these people gave one of the worst presentations I've ever seen, I know they had a whole bunch of people sign up for their service.
Yeah, because the offer overcame the presentation.
Yes, because the offer was so strong and compelling,
right,
that even though there were, like, I'm sorry, two monkeys over there pounding rocks in their presentation, that's how bad it was.
Yeah,
I was just sitting there going, oh my word, I'd rather watch grass.
But to that point, right? I mean, it is, and you and I have talked about this offline a lot, in the last probably several months or a year, is that's been one of those aha moments for me, is to realize that when your offer is so clear, and you don't have to feel like you're selling, because you're starting to see the kind of people, the best people that you can help with that offer, and it becomes a no-brainer. And what happens is people start like signing up without you having to work for it.
Right. And this thing went on for almost 2 hours. It was going on 2 hours. And even the one guy's like, okay, I think we just need to wrap this up. And the people are just, how do I just buy?
Right.
Because they didn't even want to listen to these guys anymore because they were so brutal.
Right.
But the offer was so good, and it solved.
Yeah, they wanted what they were offering. They just didn't hear talk about it.
The problem was so pressing.
Yeah.
That they were willing to pay for it.
Yeah.
Just because this problem, like, a lot of these people are ad agency owners, and they're running ads for people, and
their business is dying because they're locked out.
Right. And they can't get, and they're looking bad because they have to their things are getting, their ads are getting shut down or declined. And he goes, we have contacts. He says a lot of the reason these ad accounts are getting shut down or declined is because the bots are doing it.
Yeah.
Well, if we actually have a human being look at it, well, then they'll say, okay, yeah, that one shouldn't have been,
Right.
we can reinstate this. It's okay.
Right.
And he has the connections and the contacts that can all make that happen.
Sure.
So you don't even have to be good at sales. You don't even have to be good at presenting.
Right. The offer does the selling.
If you have such a good offer and such a compelling need, you can clean up. Mm-hmm. And so once you do that and you show why your process is unique and why it can work, then it's like, oh, you do something that no one else can do.
Right.
It's like these guys, you have the connections that no one else is offering.
Yeah.
You have, your method is simple to understand.
Yeah.
You, instead of me being stuck with the bots going in loops forever and never getting
you connect me to a human being.
You're going to actually connect me to a human being that will look at my account or look at my ads and say, okay, yeah, we'll approve them. You're fine. Keep going. Yeah. And that is like so easy to understand.
Right.
Like I just took a 2+ hour webinar and boiled it down to a minute.
Right.
And if that was all
you could have probably had that conversation. Like I said, it could have been a 10-minute, 5-minute video, and people were like, "Sign me up," because it was so needed. Right.
So you got to think about that as well. As you're presenting what it is that you do, it needs to be that clear, that easy to understand. Like for us, we're helping people who have a message build a business so they can do around their message, so that they can have and do what they want in life. Right. They can live a purpose-filled life. They can help the people they feel called to help, and they can make a difference in the world, and they can earn all the income they want to earn from their business.
Right.
They're no longer held back. It's like a path of freedom, no longer being stuck working for someone else or living out someone else's dream. You can actually do yours.
Right.
And we're going to show you exactly how to do that. And so that's the vision, that it needs to be that compelling, that simple to understand, and that easy for them to say, you're the guys that can help me do it.
Right.
Yep. So once you get that, because that has to be in place first, because otherwise you can go start talking to people. And if your message is all confusing and cloudy and unclear, talking to people is going to be hard.
Yeah. I just met a guy the other day. He's a leadership coach. And my friend I was talking about introduced me to this guy, and we had a Zoom call about something. And he said, Chris, my elevator pitch now is I help companies that have communication and relationship issues. Period. That's it. And he's like, he said, you'd be astounded by how many people are like, that's us.
Yeah.
And because every organization has some challenges of some kind, but the ones that are feeling that pain, when he says that to them, they're like, how can you help me?
Right.
Then it just becomes the
because they're already living that.
Right.
They already understand it, and they don't know how to solve it.
Yeah. So if he can help them solve their communication relationship issues in their business, they know that that's going to impact the bottom line.
Well, and just think about it. I mean, this is where, like, if you got a problem and it's costing you mountains of time, mountains of headaches, it's costing you money, even if it's not directly costing you money, because you're wasting so much time, effort, and energy trying to deal with all these things. Yeah. And somebody comes in for like $2,000, I can solve that for you.
Right.
Done. Like, and that was, again, what was happening yesterday is more or less, it was like, okay, we'll do that. So
I'm losing lots of money, and you're going to give me a solution to that.
Right. And you're going to solve this and make my life 100 times better. Let's go. So the next thing after you have all that clear is then you can start working your network. Yeah. And this is the old, the easiest way to start is with the people that you know. And that doesn't mean necessarily that you're going to like every person that you know and like I'm trying to sell you on my coaching program.
Right.
What you simply do is you think about those that that either would benefit from what you do or would possibly know somebody that would benefit, and you just reach out to them and say, hey, you know what? You could either do one of two things. This is what I'm doing. Do you know anybody that, I might be able to help? Or, hey, I created a free resource, for people who are going through this. Do you know? And this is a good way to even start. I've created a free resource for people who are needing help in this area. Do you know of anyone who would benefit?
Right.
And I know people who have built a business just by starting out texting people.
Right.
That they knew, like, hey, I got this free resource. I have this thing that I put together, this training, this guide, this whatever. and it helps people who are having trouble with that. And he goes, yeah, some of the times the people go, yeah, I know somebody, me. Like, I'm struggling with that. Or no, you should talk to, John over here. I know he's trying to deal with that, and he can't get it. He would appreciate that help.
Right.
And you start developing relationships. You start working your network.
Yeah.
I know one of the things that you do a lot is you go speak to organizations,
right?
And you go do a free talk with a different organization, and you walk out of there frequently with different clients and paid speaking opportunities.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's just it, right? It's getting in front of the right people. And for me, just over a year ago, I realized I was like, you know what I need to do, and I actually advised some other leadership coaches on this: is get in front of associations and groups where there are it's one audience but multiple businesses sitting in the room, right? And so, my buddy John, who I was talking about a few minutes ago, somebody asked me to speak on a Friday, like at kind of a last minute thing, like on a Wednesday. They had a gap, and I said, well, I can't make it, but I think I'd know somebody that could. Called him, said, hey, could you speak on Friday? He said, yeah. He said there was like 10 people in the room. He had at least one or two follow-up meetings that came out of that.
Right.
And, and that group is a group that, once again, it's made up of different organizations within that group. And so I'm going to go speak to that group at some point as well. But you're right. It's, I've had definitely a lot of opportunities that have come that way. The other thing, going back to your thing, like I think my first corporate client, they came out of, it was a friend of mine I grew up with in school growing up as a kid. And he is a business partner in an IT company. And I reached out to him when I first started coaching and said, hey, I'm doing this now. I don't know if there's anything you guys need help with your people or anything. And so it ended up, it kind of gradually grew from like a short-term thing to like, I ended up coaching their people for like 3 years because, like you said, it was just that initial outreach of somebody I knew that had a business that seemed like a good target audience for me to get in front of. And so absolutely, I mean, finding those things, and you'll be amazed. Here's the other thing, folks. This is what I've learned is you'll be amazed at how many people need speakers, trainers, presenters for whether it's their individual company, like for a lunch and learn type of a training.
Right.
They're just looking for something to enhance and they don't know where to go. Or if it's a larger organization like state associations or local credit unions or, that are trying to do something for their clients or chambers of commerce or whatever it may be, people need speakers. They need presenters. They need people that they want to partner with, but they just don't know who, right? So if you can be that's your offer is, hey, I'll come in and I'll do a presentation on this topic, So just once again, knowing your audience goes back to that first thing, right? Knowing who the right people are, because if you're not a business coach, you don't need to go to a corporation. If you're an individual coach to an individual person, maybe you do a free webinar or a training that you put out there, like you said, David.
And that's just it exactly. So you can kind of see how this builds, though.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you go start talking to these organizations, you go speak at a lunch and learn or something like that, and your message is not clear and compelling, it's going to be significantly harder for you to pick up clients.
Right.
That's why you got to do the pre-work and get yourself in that position. Like, okay, that's it. That's what we're doing. That's how we're serving. And that's how we're going to build this all out. And this is compelling now. So now when you have those conversations, all of a sudden hands are going up all over the place because people get it.
Yeah.
So once you do that, so you can work your network, and there's a lot of opportunities, as Chris has done himself a lot.
Yeah.
And to go through that, you can also go online. Yeah. And another way of doing this is to find Facebook groups of people that are your target audience. Like these are people who are struggling. They formed a Facebook group around, because they usually get formed around topics like, people who are trying to achieve a certain goal or dealing with a certain problem or whatever it may be. Yep. And so join the group that's relevant for you and what you're doing. Yep. And just become part of that group and start to become active in it. Start answering questions. Yep. So people are posting questions about this. Well, start, answering those questions. Just go in there and be helpful. Mm-hmm. I mean, it sounds so simple, but just go in there and be helpful and start posting answers to questions that you know the answer to.
Right.
And like, yeah, I can answer that, but I type it in and do that. And then people are going to be like, oh, thank you. That's great. Yeah. Well, how do you know that? You're like, and they're all of a sudden going to start recognizing you. And then you can even post your own content. Right. Now, I would not do it with links to your stuff because it's not your group, and then the people in charge of the group are going to feel like, oh, you're just in here spamming. So just post helpful things. But what ends up happening is that people then start looking you up.
Right.
And they'll start saying, well, who is this Chris guy?
Yeah.
Like he keeps posting good information. So what they do, inevitably what happens is they click your name, right? Yeah. So when they click your name, what then happens? They go to your profile.
Right.
So if they go to your profile, what are they then going to see? Well, they're going to see whatever you want them to see.
Right.
You can have all sorts of stuff. You can optimize your profile that talks all about the value that you bring, the services that you offer, the problems that you can solve, and there you can post whatever you want regarding to, like, hey, if you'd like to book a discovery call with me to learn more about how I can help you with X, Y, and Z, click this link. You know, or if that, and so now they're clicking your name. Now you can have all your links there.
Yep.
Now, because now it's your profile and you can post whatever you want there, but because you become so helpful in the groups, they're now clicking on your name and going to your profile, and that's where you can turn your profile into your lead generator and have all that content. You do little videos on there. You could do different things on there to, you know, really start showing your value and why people should work with you.
Yeah, actually, it's funny you said this because this morning, so a friend of mine has a podcast, and so she interviewed somebody and was sharing about that episode that's coming out this week, and I clicked on that guest's profile on LinkedIn is where I saw this, right? And so I'm like, well, I'm curious about him now because he was a guest on her show. And so my natural next step was, well, I want to learn more about him because it sounded very interesting, the topic they were talking about. So you're right. It's the natural progression. I didn't even have to listen to the podcast yet. I just thought, hey, I know she has a good show. I know she brings on great people. And then I'd like to learn more about this guy.
You get introduced to new people, and being a guest on other people's podcasts is another great way to do it. But then you got to have whatever it is behind that. And what's behind that is what can generate your initial contacts, because people will then send you friend requests. They'll be like, hey, you know, I want to connect with you. And then that's where you can even start engaging. You can, you know, start messaging each other back and forth. And then you can say, hey, well, maybe we should chat sometime. See if I can help you. And that can be a great lead generator. So these are really two lanes that you can do both of them. But in a sense, it's a 3-step process. Know your value and to be able to describe it in compelling ways. And then either network or network either online or offline, and find ways to get people who are truly interested to start having conversations with you. And if you can do that consistently and get yourself out there, you're going to get clients.
Yeah. Well, even our one client, Marion, right, that we are so proud of in our program because she has, she has just grown exponentially this past year or so. She's doing a free monthly workshop online and it's promoted, and she is getting new followers that are showing up, and now she's adding people to her membership program, and it's kind of organic, but it's very strategic and intentional too, right? And it's digital. So she was telling me the other day she had somebody online from Africa in her membership call. Like, I'm like, you're not even local now, you're global with what you're doing
very quickly.
Yeah, because of the platform and where you did. So it's like, but she followed the process we're talking about and she's gotten more and more clear. And then she's networked with those she's known, but she's also, went online to put herself out there in front of a cold audience that she hasn't met yet, but she's attracting people to her topic because her topic is very clear. And I know, David, you and I both helped her kind of rinse and repeat her messaging so that she can really dial that in more and more so that the right people are showing up and registering, and it's working for her. And it's amazing. It's so fun to watch it happen on our end, because we know what it's like going through that process too. But folks, this works. And so what David is sharing today, do it, maybe you've had an offer out there and you're not really communicating it clearly. Maybe you have a great course, you have a great coaching program, you have a great training, program you want to offer to groups or organizations or whatever. But that training is only going to be effective if you can get in front of people with the right messaging. And so get that dialed in. Make sure you are clear on your messaging on that front end of what are you offering, what's the problem you're solving, who is your ideal audience, and then start finding them, start looking for them. Because here's the thing, when we get clear on this, and we've experienced this, David, with our Design Launch Grow program, the clearer we've become, the more obvious the ideal clients become.
Right. 100%. And, you want to fit.
Yeah.
Because, when you're first starting, I want clients. I need somebody to help me generate some income. And you get that.
Yeah.
But that only lasts a little while until you get that client where you go, oh boy,
yeah,
like I don't really want to work with this person because boy, are they not a fit for me.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean they're bad people. It means you're not the right coach for them.
Well, and I'm even
becomes a problem quickly.
Absolutely. Well, even just a non-coaching, but how this just works in really all industries, right? Is we're looking to add an addition onto our house, we're doing a new patio and screened in, room on our house. And I had talked to a friend the other day, and I said, hey, he's a contractor, does commercial work. And I said, do you know anybody that does residential? He goes, yeah, call this guy. He sent me his number. I called the guy. The guy's like, he's coming out this afternoon to look at our project and what we want to do and give me an estimate. That was so clear because my friend knew, I was clear on what I wanted and what I needed a contractor for.
And
my friend said, hey, I don't do this, right, but this guy does, and he's great. So call him. Right. And it, what it did? It saved me a ton of time as on the consumer end, but it also was if I end up going with that contractor, that's one of the easiest sales he'll ever get. Right. Like, because he has done such good work and it's so clear what he does that somebody else referred him to me. He didn't have to go do a bunch of marketing. He didn't have to do a bunch of, spend a bunch of money on advertising. So that clarity of what he offers with his business as a contractor, even, so this all works the same way, right? So if it's just apply this to your coaching and what's the topic you address? What are the problems you solve? Who are the right people for that? And the more you're clear on that, the more you can fine tune that, the easier this becomes, and the more impactful you can really help people. So if you need help with any of this, check out our Design Launch Grow program at designlaunchgrow.com, because this is the stuff we constantly, week after week on our coaching calls, we are just kind of challenging and helping our clients dial this in more and more and figuring out what's the best, not even the type of program, because they come in typically with, I'm a coach, I'm a course creator, or I'm a trainer kind of mindset. Like, this is what I do. But most of the things that we help people with is this messaging, right? It's trying to help people get things really dialed in, so they can reach the right people and serve the right clients. And we do help you, even if you just have this idea and you're saying, you know what, I don't know quite what to do with that. We can walk you through what is the best method. Is it a coaching program? Is it a course? Is it a training program that you go do live? Whatever it is. So, from kind of beginning to the growth levels, we help with that. So if that makes sense to you, if it's something you are needing help with, we'd love to have you join our program at designlaunchgrow.com, because that's, like David said earlier, that's our passion, is to help you get your message out there and serve the world and help people. So until next time, we hope you have a great week, and we hope that we see you in our program. So take care.